Iniziamo con il video. Ok. Quindi devo andare via lui. Possiamo andare? Vai? Vai.
Statistics measure our lives and our globe.
C'era un tappo all'inizio perché c'è un po' di lavori, ma forse sola.
Stanno ancora arrivando persone, quindi bene. Se va, se non vanno lì.
Ma tanto ora si è staccato tutto, quindi abbiamo perso un pezzo. Tu non c'hai fiducia. C'è della Pecchi? Perché io non la vedo, c'è una del festival che è il famoso. Non so se è andato su all'hotel, forse no. Se la danno a tutti e quindi anche per loro ospiti, non lo so. C'è un IFJ,
È scomparso il segnale. Ma noi dobbiamo proprio mostrare delle cose.
è morto lo schermo.
È
È
morto
morto
lo
lui.
schermo, il computer.
Quindi è morto lui questo?
Sì, qualcosa là dentro.
Spegne invece.
Che altre sessioni ci hanno detto?
Qui?
Sì,
Eccolo.
è tornato.
Sì.
Sessione al giorno fino
No.
a domenica.
Va e viene.
San Gallo.
Che mi sa che prima nasce.
Ma qualcosa su a
No,
lui.
non funziona.
E prima o poi gli si spacca la luce al proiettore.
La luce si sta...
Tecnologia ci ha perso. Questo sul sito poi insomma magari presenterà una scuola di School of Professional
Sì.
ma siete partiti adesso? O una cosa che
L'abbiamo messo online a settembre.
sempre?
Abbiamo avuto tantissimo tempo. Abbiamo fatto un po' di...
Ora va.
un po' di contenuti, perché poi facendo
Se è un
formazione
problema
in
del
giro,
video facciamo solo le slide.
si mette
Sparsa.
le
Questa
slide.
è
Quindi non tocchiamo neanche.
cioè, mettere insieme.
Deve sul senso unico, cioè così. Quindi
Vediamo. Perché
slide,
sarebbe prima il video e
usare
poi le
ciò che
due
già
slide.
esiste.
usare
Nel modo no.
Non tocco niente.
puoi firmare quello che già esiste.
Statistics measure our lives in our globalized societies. GlobalStat is the gateway that guides you through an incredible amount of data from different official international sources. It not only gives you access to single indicators of poverty, education, economic growth, human development, and many other areas. It also allows you to go further and learn more about cross-cutting issues that are key to everyone's lives in a globalized world. Let's have a look at some data you can extract from GlobalStat. GlobalStat offers the most fundamental information on the world's population, half of which lives in Asia. On average, today, women live longer than men, especially in Europe. Asia is the hardest hit continent with devastating typhoons, hurricanes, floods, droughts. But how many people exactly are severely affected around the world? GlobalStat not only looks at these developments across space, but also over time. Over the past decades, the global production of wealth was most strongly boosted by Asia, Europe, and the Americas. But although Asia is the continent with the highest total GDP, it still has the lowest GDP per capita after Africa. Yet, although GDP has grown, other areas are less well off. During the last century, CO2 emissions have become a serious problem for our planet. And today, Asia produces twice as much CO2 as the Americas, although the amount per capita remains lower. GlobalStat is directly accessible, intuitive to use, credible, and free of charge. Let's start exploring. Choose a theme and a sub-theme from the left-hand menu. Choose the indicator you want to display. GlobalStat shows you the first and last year available for all countries. Now select years, single countries, or groups. Click Update to refresh the table. By clicking Info, you will have access to metadata, such as original sources, concepts, measure unit. The top bar allows you to change data visualization from table to rankings, bar and line charts. You can also export data tables, and graphs. Now you can share it through social networks. GlobalStat allows you to consult key indicators for each of the 193 UN countries. Knowledge is empowerment. Empower yourself. Start exploring.
So, good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. This video was a brief presentation of the project in which me and Laura Bartolini are working, and about GlobalStat. We are going to give this training on data journalism and the possible use that can be done from GlobalStat. So. Thanks to all of you for coming, for being here. We have two remarkable guests. We have Alessandro Lanni from Open Migration and Andrea Nelson Mauro from Data Ninja. So, and yes, and Meredith Broussard, professor from New York University and data specialist as well. So, how we conceive the training of today, we start with a rapid and brief presentation of GlobalStat, of the training, and what is possible to do thanks to the indicators shown in GlobalStat, so about our potential. and then we will let the floor to the round table to talk about practical example. So. Come devo fare ora? A posto va lui? Ok. Quindi bisogna aspettare lui? Sì. Ok, perfect. So this is the outline of the presentation. So we'll start with the research focus of GlobalStat project. Then we will move to our research puzzle, and we will briefly talk on why are statistics important, why GlobalStat, and what it is. So this is the starting point and the research focus of our project. As some of you probably know, GlobalStat is a project of the Global Governance Program, which is one of the 6 programs of the Robert Schuman Center for Advanced Studies, which is one of the research center of the European University Institute held in Florence. So we start to think of GlobalStat as the data repository that is starting from the research focus on European, transnational, and global governance. So the overall starting point was the consideration that, as you know, in the contemporary world, there are interlinkages between globalization, sustainable development, and human well-being concept. There is indeed a huge variation and also an overlap in approaches, definition, and measurement of these 4 main concepts. So our research puzzle was how to analyze and measure this central concept of global governance and policy making. As we know, by using proxies, statistical data become main research sources and policy tools because they are key instruments to quantify, qualify, and measure reality, are used to evaluate many aspects of abstract concept and reality, and they are not only measured, but they create narrative and reality and impact on behavior. So we noticed that from a measurement point of view, the analysis of the indicators was mainly focused on socioeconomic and political aspect, environmental, but is taking, indeed, the analysis over indicators is taking a broader perspective. As you can see, the most prominent example are indices like OECD Better Life Index or UN Sustainable Development Goals indicators, or the ones in the World Bank World Development Indicators, but also indicators as GDP, child mortality, literacy rate. They tell more than they are supposed to tell. So why are statistics important? Because, as we know, are the key instrument to quantify, qualify, measure, and compare phenomena. Among them, they are used to evaluate often complicated aspects of reality, such as political, legal, or cultural aspect. They are not only measured, but they create, as we say, reality and impact on behavior, and they are also deeply political. Nowadays, our governments are deeply led by numbers. And they improve the quality of democracy, transparency, debate, policies, and evidence-based process. So in the end, statistical data, they increase the insight and the knowledge available. They support the policy making and evaluation, and they inform monitoring and measurement of progress, and they are independent information sources. So why GlobalStat, and mainly the challenges we face within our research? To collect, structure, and present data, we know that as independent information sources deserve promotion and to inform the public debate and the decision making, to improve the quality of knowledge. Data are essential to analyze the core concept and the key interrelation in modern politics, and only slowly become more visible in the public domain. And clarity and speed of data access need to be improved. So given these issues, we reflect that and on what we were seeing around us. So as you know, information sources, they mushroom at very rapid speed. Areas, issues, process, they are affecting which are affecting the individuals, they amplify. The main concept of development, such as globalization, sustainable development, human development, and well-being, they go behind the global economic interrelation and resource management. And knowledge on diverse development is relevant to assess sustainability, trends in globalization, and human well-being. So a combined perspective on these three phenomena, it's vital to take in account the wealth of information and statistical sources required for balanced analysis, having a broader picture of development and quality of life, for getting information about how human beings live, what freedoms they enjoy and what limitations they face, and facilitating access to get the overview. Therefore, the main three challenges we faced during our research, they were briefly visibility, accessibility, use, and literacy of data. So what is this GlobalStat? It's a combined expertise of the Global Governance Program, the European University Institute, and the Fundação Francisco Manuel dos Santos, which was our partner in the beginning in thinking this program. The aims and the objective of GlobalStat are the following. So contributing to the three priorities quoted in the UN Human Development Report 2010, fostering the democratic empowerment of people, enabling people and encouraging data use worldwide, increasing the transparency in multiple ways, and improving the quality of informed public debate and discussion. So this gives us the combined perspective resulting in behind GDP focus to mirror most important areas and aspects of the three phenomena, to target a broad range of data sources, to analyzing existing data set indexes and approaches to the main concept we list already, to define a dashboard of indicators, geoscope, and data quality, and to identify and calculate groups, aggregates, and use a dynamic approach for calculating them. So briefly, that is GlobalStat is. So we list already the needs. Starting from them, it was convinced, and then it offers data, as you have seen in the video, starting from the 1960 until today, gathered from more than 80 international sources, and accessible in only 3 clicks. Data are explained by symbols in the tables, as you will see later. Is complemented by metadata taken from the original sources, and allows you to export data according to your choice for one or for all countries, to download metadata, and to extract graphs as image. So how does GlobalStat works in 4 steps? This is an infographic you will find also in the handout. So we start from the selection of data sources, then we work on the harmonization and the standardization of data, and the final step is the visualization. So the particularity of GlobalStat is that it has a longitudinal structure, so a sample of countries is followed over time. For each indicator, observation across space refers to all UN member countries, while entries over time start from 1960 to the latest available year. Each individual data entry refers to a given nation in a given year. And of course, panel data, as you know, increase the number of data points and the number of degrees of freedom available for the statistical estimation and inference. And we try to answer to research questions that are not answerable by conventional analysis. So just to give some examples, so 193 nation states, 5 continents, 2 health integration communities and international organizations, as you can see. And data are grouped according to 12 thematic areas plus 3 horizontal areas: global trends, sustainable livelihood, prosperity of nation, and human well-being. And so GlobalStat offers a wide range of data from more than 80 partner sources on most different topics, as you have seen from the video, and different data visualization as bar, ranking, and lines. So the characteristics, few indicators in our data repository have missing data values for some countries, and this is done. This is because due to the data unavailability of the original sources. Missing data, as you know, can be also the result of statistical units dropping out for the attrition phenomenon, and the attrition occurs because as a consequence of dissolution, separation, and formation of new states, for instance, Yugoslavia or URSS or Czechoslovakia. And this is what is called in our database dynamic entities. So when the data is aggregated by summation of or averaging from the national to the supranational level, attrition among the macro units is usually lower than it was at the country level. So GlobalStat provides to citizens, to a large portion of population, such as citizens, journalists, students, teachers, researchers, and public officials, a variety of information in the international resources. And to all of us, we hope, awareness and knowledge about the development in a globalized world. So empowers us to know about the quality of life around the world, to understand the multidimensional challenges, and to assess the performance of nations, contrasting globalization trends and human development. So the road ahead of this project is, of course, it's vital for us to be here and to present the project that it was launched in occasion of the State of the Union 2015 in Florence, and so to receive feedback from our audience. According to the academic research, we are producing fact sheets and working papers. We are trying to outreach people and users through the social media and blogs. And for the developments are mainly related to the data visualization, the extension of the themes and sub-themes, and the data quality and updating. So growing, evolving, and adapting. to conclude, we have started a collaboration with the European Parliament Research Service with some blog posts. Some of them are reported here. And to produce together with them a fact sheet, mainly for members of Parliament, members of the European Parliament, of course, on country cases or specific topics, but of public use. So you will find them on the web. And we have started also a collaboration with the OECD to migrate to their web platform, such as the model of Compare Your Country, if you are familiar with the OECD platform. So thanks for your attention, and follow us on our Twitter account as well. Thank you.
So I'll follow up what Caterina just presented you.
No.
Tutto staccato. Sorry for... No, niente.
L'avete delle perfetto. Te le apre insieme e ti dà la seconda.
I'm sorry. Okay, so just to give you a brief example on what we can do with GlobalStat, and also to introduce a discussion with our guests, what I would like to do is, I've done some screenshots from the website, but I really would like you to now try what I'm doing, what I've done already with the screenshot, and just try in the website if you can find the same things and be familiar with the website and how it works also on mobile. And why we chose these three examples. I chose examples from three different topics and from different sources in terms of their institutional structure and the way they present data and they distribute them, and they allow users to redistribute and publish their data. So this is the screenshot of the website, and you can easily try to look for indicators by scrolling down the menus of themes. Some themes are also going with the quick search window on the right-hand menu. Climate change, I chose it just because we just finished to speak about COP21 in Paris in December, and I thought, okay, maybe we can speak about this because we are going to speak more on emissions and environmental issues in the future. And only looking at what, for example, emissions in CO2 and in general on air emissions, what is available online, not that much, and very slowly updated. So, for example, if I start from institutional sources, of course, I go to the UN and I try to understand what they produce, since countries are committing themselves to do something about reductions in emissions. I would expect them to produce a really interesting bunch of indicators and data on what they are doing, but in fact, they are not so well updating their data sets. So I can start from them, but then I will show you it's not so comprehensive, as countries are not all there, and many are not signing the UN agreements on this kind of topic. So I go to the World Bank because we know that World Bank has a big, huge, vast data repository of almost everything. So maybe they have something, but they rely for emissions only on a private institution based in the US. So maybe it's not exactly what I want, or I want to compare this type of indicators with something else. And then I say, okay, maybe I would like to have a world view and a global view, but then maybe the European Union can help me finding something more. And yes, I have this European Commission database on emissions, which is called EDGAR. And just to give you an example of what happens, if I look into CO2 emissions total, I think I've chosen, from these 3 sources. And you can find the 3 of them in GlobalStat. What you see is, for example, okay, I know that everyone is saying that we have 5 top countries emitting and doing a lot of pollution. And I know that there are China, US, Japan, and Russia, and India, and maybe also the EU altogether. But if I go to the data of the official sources, China and India are not there, for example, in the UN indicators, because they are not signing everything, and they are not committing themselves in reducing, so they are not providing information on that. So I can go to the World Bank, for example, here, the CDH database, and I have a better picture maybe, but it's not that the previous data are false, it's just that maybe I want to provide them both or compare them and see what they are saying in terms of trends, since in this case, trends in time is really relevant. And in fact, they are saying quite the same thing as the European Commission EDGAR database is saying, so that China is really increasing, and then we, European Union, so the yellow line is trying to slow the path of the increase in emissions. So this, just to immerse you in how much is difficult to decide what type of sources rely on and what kind of things to select to have in our database. The same goes, okay, natural disasters, but I can skip, or we can talk about that later maybe. But this can be compared because, for example, for natural disasters, no one is taking a global perspective except for a research center which is based in Brussels, in Louvain, and is counting every natural disaster in any part of the world defined in some way. And I can rely on it, or also I can compare them to national sources, but then the definitions are relevant, and so trying to work with the data we provide and we selected for the users. It's, I think, really interesting to see what the original sources are saying about themselves and what they want to promote for themselves. The second topic, totally different, is crisis, conflict, and wars, because now everyone is speaking about maybe Middle East issues and conflict in Syria and in other areas. Again, here we have a big problem in data because almost only one research center is counting in a reliable way and standardized way. Everything is happening from the middle half of the last century and onwards. And so we can rely on this Uppsala University database on armed conflicts, on state violence, on battle deaths, and everything. But it's not everything there. And if we extracting data from here and we have them, I mean, if I go to the national sources and tell, okay, are you agreeing with the fact that now Syria is an international or a non-international conflict, and how do you count them, and how you consider the people involved, or how you count them, the people moving within a country? All these type of things have to be discussed, but if you don't have in mind the definition the sources are giving for each indicator they provide, it's really difficult to have a sense of what is behind the single figure. We are also in progress of trying to get also the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute data on arms transfer and military expenditure, because again, many sources are really jealous about what they produce and don't want to redistribute them in a super open way. I skipped this because I really would like to have your feedback here, but you already have saw it in the video. You can clearly go directly to original source, and the fact of providing the direct link and the concept definitions and the methodology in a uniform way is done because you can start from the figures, but then maybe you need some contextual information and the reports that are given with the data and with the figures. So to collect a story which is not only made, of course, by number. For human mobility, and this is the reason why also Alessandro is here. Again, this is the third topic I've chosen, but just because it's really the thing everyone wants to know about more. On migration in general and asylum more specifically now for Europe. But again, here for data providers, it's not so easy to count people and how they move. And so if we start from institutional sources, you start from UN data, and they are very rich, but updated every once in a while. So you don't cover every year, but you have, for example, now online data for 2005, 2010, 2015, and you have olds in the middle. So maybe if you are only interested for seeing what happens in richest countries, so you go to the OECD database, and they have more indicators and more information also disaggregated, because you see that maybe to know by citizenship or nationality how many people are working or not, how much are they educated or not, etc. But you can also need information that are not statistically relevant for official institutions, but are interesting for us in the debate, in the public debate. For example, is in Italy we are discussing, since a long time ago, we are discussing on a new citizenship law. If I want to know what the others are doing, there's no other way than finding someone that at the academic level is studying this topic. And in this case, we have another project at the UI, at the European University Institute, looking at how citizenship can be acquired, or how naturalization works in any European and then global countries. So the fact that the GlobalStat provides you the three of them, maybe you can merge different things instead of going in different sources which have different structures and different way of presenting the data. For asylum and migration, this is even more difficult, because UNHCR has done a tremendous effort of improving their website in general over the last year. It was not so fancy 1 year ago. But in any case, they are not covering, for example, those that are not registered through their forms as people looking for asylum. So maybe I want to have also data on international displacement, and this is not provided by, it is only collected in some standardized way by a Norwegian research center, and so we're trying to provide also this, and this is in the process and in the pipeline, and I hope we will get there at some point. European Asylum Office has tremendous interesting data, but they are not providing them openly. And if they do, they only publish PDF files with some tables. So you know that from the tables that they have a lot of things to share, but they are not sharing for the time being. So even trying to push and ask to sources to explain them why you want to have them in an open data set is really an effort that I think is valid, and also helps to also the agencies to do an effort on their side in the way they disseminate their data. I haven't prepared anything serious on refugees, because openmigration.org is more advanced than us, because they have their direct link, so the automatic update of data, if I am not wrong. These were only three big topics. You have many more indicators in GlobalStat. And of course, it's not, I perfectly know that it's not perfect, and that there is room for improve the website and the way we present things. So I really would like to open now a discussion to have your feedbacks, and maybe try to understand from our perspective as a university what we can do useful for also for the external users and for journalists in particular. So, thanks for the time.
Intanto grazie a tutti, parlerò in italiano, tanto siamo in buona parte in italiano. Non ho avuto nessun brief dalle nostre ospiti, quindi qualche schizzo sul lavoro che facciamo con Open Migration, che è un sito che, come dice il nome, si occupa per lo più di migrazioni e rifugiati. Ora è uscito il 28 dicembre 2015, quindi è abbastanza giovane e ha una struttura relativamente leggera, che è un modo, come dire, polite per dire che siamo molto pochi a farlo. Ora è praticamente speculare in italiano e in inglese, quindi le stesse cose che trovate in italiano le trovate in inglese. Io direi questo sul lavoro che facciamo, e siccome io coordino il lavoro editoriale di questo sito, è un po' il lavoro che faccio io e che mi sembra che sono in grado di fare. Sono molto meno esperto e molto meno addetto ai lavori delle altre persone che sono a questo tavolo per quel che riguarda il trattamento dei dati e l'esperienza del lavoro sui dati. Per cui quando ho iniziato a lavorare a questo progetto mi sono posto un po', anche per semplificarmi la vita, un obiettivo: trattare i dati come una qualsiasi fonte. E quindi alle fonti, dal punto di vista giornalistico, quelle cosiddette che nei manuali si chiamano fonti primarie, cioè quelle che ti restituiscono in via diretta una notizia, bisogna saper fare le domande, perché non è facile arrivare alle fonti, alcune sì, altre meno. Però una volta che si ha davanti una fonte bisogna saperla anche interrogare. Ecco. E il problema dei dati, a differenza degli esseri umani per esempio, è che se non gli sai fare domande adeguate si fa fatica molto a rispondere, soprattutto quando si hanno di fronte temi molto complessi e molto, per così dire, biased nel dibattito pubblico italiano, ma non solo. Anzi, direi che forse la nostra stampa nel 2015 si è comportata molto meglio di altre stampe, di altri media europei. Questo è un'altra cosa. Bisogna saper, come dire, interrogare questi dati nella maniera adeguata. Quindi il tipo di lavoro che facciamo noi su Open Migration è fondamentalmente di due tipi. Uno orizzontale, che è questo che vedete qui rappresentato, che è una lunga paginata, una dashboard, una lavagna, che fondamentalmente pesca da due fonti, appunto. Uno, come vedete, UNHCR, che è l'Alto Commissariato per i Rifugiati delle Nazioni Unite, e che aggiorna quotidianamente gli arrivi in vari paesi. E questo è molto interessante. Evidentemente l'Ungheria, per dirne una, il 17 ottobre, se non sbaglio, il 17 ottobre scorso ha bloccato gli ingressi, e quindi si vede che proprio non ci sono più ingressi, mentre si vedono i vari andamenti giorno per giorno. L'altra fonte dal quale pesca questa pagina sono i dati dell'Eurostat, che raccoglie i dati dell'Unione Europea più 28, cioè cioè l'Unione Europea più gli altri 4 stati che non ne fanno parte, ma che dal punto di vista delle politiche, delle leggi sull'accoglienza ai rifugiati, insomma, hanno normative simili, che sono la Svizzera, la Norvegia, l'Islanda e Liechtenstein. Queste ultime due meno rilevanti dal nostro punto di vista, ma la Svizzera e la Norvegia sono importanti perché sono evidentemente destinazioni scelte da molti migranti. E questo è un tipo di lavoro che facciamo appunto con questa pagina e a varie profilazioni, cioè una fotografia, possiamo dire, orizzontale dello stato dell'arte aggiornata più o meno in tempo reale. E già è un bel contributo. Per esempio questo che vedete sono la demografia dei singoli paesi, quindi per fasce d'età e per genere, e la demografia dei richiedenti asilo in quei singoli paesi. e quindi questo restituisce, per esempio, qui siamo, adesso non so che, l'Austria, e fa vedere che in Austria, insomma, la distribuzione è di un certo genere. E via dicendo, insomma, poi se si scorre più sotto ci sono anche altri diagrammi che appunto restituiscono quella che mi sembra corretto definire una fotografia orizzontale del fenomeno migrazioni e rifugiati. Un altro lavoro che facciamo, che è un lavoro diciamo più prettamente, più tradizionalmente giornalistico, sebbene si esercita su appunto fonti e notizie che sono restituite dai dati, e che io direi che è più verticale, dei tagli verticali, un carotaggio in questa materia, e che appunto trattiamo con infografiche di vario genere a seconda, diciamo, intercettando le notizie che restituisce il nostro contesto in senso ampio. Esce, per farvi qualche esempio, esce la notizia delle violenze il 31 dicembre a Colonia. Al di là del merito e di come è stato trattato dai giornali e come è entrato nell'opinione pubblica, quel che è interessante sapere, cioè lo sfondo sul quale poi questa notizia si alimenta, mi sono detto, e poi ci ho anche lavorato sopra, qual è lo stato dell'arte dell'immigrazione e dell'Islam in Germania? Ecco, proviamo a ricercare dati che restituiscano una fotografia quanto più obiettiva di questo tema, e io credo che sia come dire, un modo per entrare innanzitutto originale nel dibattito, soprattutto italiano, nel dibattito su questi temi, e dall'altra parte anche onesto, diciamo, di trattare tematiche come questo. Altro esempio. Forse non tutti voi sanno che la nazionalità di migranti che è arrivata nel 2015 di gran lunga più in massa in Italia sono gli eritrei. Gli eritrei. Ed è un tema molto interessante quello degli eritrei. Adesso faccio una piccola nota su questo perché restituisce anche la necessità di trattare un tema molto significativo e molto importante come questo attraverso i dati. Gli eritrei hanno un tasso di riconoscimento dell'asilo altissimo. Insieme ai siriani e agli iracheni sono quelli a cui una volta che presentano domanda d'asilo gli viene detto per il 90-95% dei casi hai diritto all'asilo perché fuggono da un regime e per varie ragioni politiche. La cosa interessante di tutto questo è che loro arrivano fondamentalmente attraverso l'Italia, arrivano a Lampedusa di fatto gli europei. Nel 2015 sono arrivati in 40.000. Sapete quanti hanno chiesto asilo in Italia degli eritrei? Appunto dice loro in fondo hanno diritto, fondamentalmente arrivano e gli viene dato l'asilo. Sapete quanti hanno chiesto asilo in Italia? 300-400 persone. 300-400 persone, quindi nessuno, l'1% di quelli che sono arrivati. Questo dice molto, innanzitutto ci dice molto sul tipo di scelte che vengono fatte migratorie, ci dice molto sui limiti di quello che ormai avete imparato a conoscere, abbiamo tutti quanti imparato a conoscere, essere il regolamento di Dublino, cioè quello che impone di chiedere asilo nel paese in cui si arriva, e dice molto anche di come si comporta la stampa, in fondo, italiana. Io trovo che confrontare queste due cose, confrontare questi due numeri, arrivi e richiedenti asilo, restituisca un'immagine attraverso un semplice grafico dei limiti di una norma fondamentale per la politica europea in questo momento come il regolamento di Dublino. Ecco, per il lavoro che faccio io, il tipo di operazioni che facciamo noi è di questo genere, cioè trovare risposte a domande giornalisticamente interessanti attraverso dei dati che non sempre vengono tirati fuori. Poi insomma, se vogliamo, va bene, insomma,
ti lascio il microfono. Io invece lo prendo tipo Pippo Baudo. Allora, inglese? Okay, I'll try to speak in English. I would ask some questions
to you about your jobs, about your works, and I think we are in front of two kind of uses of data. That have a similar approach and focused on mashup of data from different sources. And this is probably the better way we have at the moment to understand phenomena thanks to data. This case about migration, and according with Alessandro, by merging data from different sources and from different topics, and in the work of GlobalStat, we have a similar approach on different topics, but merging data from different sources to try to point out a single phenomenon by merging. We have a lot of challenges on the ground for all of us, for all of you. The first point is, what about the licenses of this data? You are taking data from sources freely and after paying some fee. The first one. Second one is regarding coding. Yesterday or 2 or 3 days ago, Airbnb has released its own dashboard and in open sources, under open source licenses. This is a huge dashboard in which you can put data and take out view and visualization of different types. So on the ground, we have a big challenge in order to how to code these platforms. Okay. Third point. So the first one, licenses, coding, and the third one is in order to partnerships and that you have with other people outside from your state, from your context. So for you, what kind of partnership you have or you will have outside from the academic area? And for open migration would be, I would ask a similar question, what kind of partnership you can develop in the future? Okay? Women before.
Yes. I can start. Licenses, okay. We started saying we can't pay for data, so we go for what is already available free of use and free of charge, which doesn't mean that we haven't asked for any single indicator to any sources. Hello, can we use them? This is with the platform. This is the way we are redistributing data. And this means that, for example, World Bank has the full list of indicators we are using from them, as well as, I don't know, ILO, Eurostat, everyone else. So we have direct link with them. And this takes time, because you have to explain anytime what is the real use and assure that you are not doing any commercial use of the data. Yeah, and that's the basic. I remember when we started trying to have some financial data, and IMF was not releasing almost anything for free, and they said, oh, absolutely no, you can't, because we sell data sets for hundreds and $1,000s per year, and then they are starting now to release them. So they are, I mean, we are not the only one asking for them, of course. So at some point they decided to release piece by piece many information that 2 or 3 years ago were not absolutely available on the web. So I think this also asking and going, knocking at the doors pushes for the entities and the sources to do more and to allow a free and more open use of the data in general. For coding, our platform is now, was at the beginning planned and developed with this foundation in Portugal, so that it is an original code done by them, but this foundation in Portugal. But the migration that we are planning to have to the OECD platform is an open code platform, and I think it's been used now by the ECB, so the European Central Bank too, and it's the same structure of the database. It looks like similar to what Istat or other statistical sources are using. So even this type of things, I think there is an effort in time to standardize the way you present things, because you need users to be familiar and also quick in the way they can access single. The platform, we will be in the Compare Your Country. Compare Your Country is a website of the OECD, and the partnership at the beginning is OECD plus ECB, so European Central Bank. But this type of website is in the process to be used by many other sources, so we are not the only one in the process of using the same type of structure and platform, and so also coding for the way the website is presented. And for partnership outside academia, okay, the thing is, for the time being, GlobalStat speaks English only, and I think we are not going to release it in any other language, but the effort we are doing now is, for example, with the partnership with the European Parliament Research Service, to provide them with figures and how can I say, fact sheet and things that they can use for the members, for the parliamentarians to be updated on single issues that are being discussed in the Parliament for European legislation. This is one way, so other institutional partners, because our university is an European one, and so it's a natural way of proceeding, going to other European institutions, which doesn't mean that we cannot be interested in other type of partnership, other national, also Italian or European, but non-EU institution as well. Someone wants to intervene or say something, of course.
Hello, yes. You mentioned OXA, you mentioned OECD. I'm actually from the press service of the OECD. In fact, it's been a move this year to make all our data freely available. As you know, the challenge really is because we collect data from different countries, the question is making sure the methodology is compatible. Exactly. So the move now, as from this year, is all our data is free, but the challenge is to make sure that it's compatible and clearly understood and able to be compared to sources from other organizations.
No, yes, just a brief thing. The thing of standardization of national sources, this is the biggest thing, but we are not producing data, so we are just trying to rely on the process of national institutions reporting to the Eurostat or to the UN or OECD, saying this is our figure for unemployment. Of course, we know that in the background there is a big work of at the statistical level to standardize the way that are collected and the definition they have been using.
And since we have here with us Bare Heravi, is correct the pronunciation, thank you, okay, who direct the Inside News LAN at National University of Ireland in Galway, and Professor Meredith Broussard the New York University. It's an honor for us to have you, both of you here, and so we would like to have also from you some comments on the training and the round table we just had all together, if you, and of course from the rest of the public. I mean, just because we know them. Yeah, exactly.
So if you have a question now, or if you need a few minutes to think.
Okay. Yes,
Oh, yeah.
you can come here. Yeah. Ok. Yeah. Mi continuano a guardare. Ah, perfetto. Thank you.
So thank you for having me. So one of the things that I think that GlobalStat is addressing is a big need in data journalism to have a lot of data that is consistently presented and is centralized so that you can compare apples to apples as opposed to comparing apples to oranges. One of the big challenges you have as a data journalist is finding information for the country that you're reporting on, and when you're making comparisons across different countries, you often run into this problem, which is that the data is inconsistent between countries. One of the things that I always remind my students of is that data is socially constructed. Data is created by people. Ultimately, it all comes down to people counting things. And we all know that people count things differently. So the data that is constructed in one place, unless there are standards, that data is going to be very different than the data that is constructed in a different place. So I like that GlobalStat consolidates data that's very consistent.
Yes, please come. I will let you attach to me.
I also agree with Meredith that the fact that the data is in one place and the fact that they are compatible with each other is very important, both for data journalists and for a community that would want to tell any sorts of story. So I've worked with journalists and I've worked with a lot of students. And in both cases, they are very confused with compatibility of data. And in the university, for example, in one of my courses, it is mandatory for students to bring 2 data sets together. And they find it extremely difficult. And I get loads of questions from them, how to do it or where to find a compatible data. So I think this is definitely very, very good and very important. The data visualization aspect, we didn't see much of it, but I think it is also very important if we could get data visualizations out of it, and eventually perhaps interactive data visualization, which could be embedded in HTML pages, because that would be something that data journalists in the newsrooms would need. Otherwise, they would need to go to their interactive or graphic sim eventually for a final product. So that's, I think, some comment from me.
If someone wants to add or has any type of questions or doubts or comments to do on the website, if you have been going into it, just for replying to what you just said, the visualization, yes, you're right, it's super relevant. And we are working to improve also this type of, the things you can do and the type of graphs you can have. The thing is, the plus I see in GlobalStat is the fact that you're not doing super complicated things, but this is not per se shortcomings depending on your audience. Because I really like like very much infographics full of information summarized all together with many indices. But this doesn't mean that everyone can understand the same thing. So depending on the audience, even simple 2 variables or some countries or simple comparison are really interesting. And the fact of accompanying users and your readers or your public in general to get used to graphs and tables without scaring them, to me is quite important, because I see also from the academic perspective, the academic field and the people I know and the university, it's not so straightforward that anyone wants to have graphs and tables like everywhere in their reports and their journals they're reading, or Blogspot or everything. So maybe it's a process, and you can just teach people how to read your stuff. And this goes with a step-by-step, even complexifying things, not skipping all the steps, but going slowly from one chart to the next. Even, I don't know if you got my point.
Hi, I'm just wondering that considering you are relying on so many different sources, how long is it taking you to update, say, for an additional year in your data set, and how many people do you have watching, and at what point do you end up adding sort of more updated information? Because I think that's the challenge as a reporter, is if, I think I just took a quick look, and population growth is a year behind on your website, and we have a 2014 set from the World Bank. So, my editor, I'm assuming, would probably ask, well, why are you citing 2013, right?
Yes, you're right. And for the more institutional sources, we are getting to develop the API code that I think there's a session at the festival on how to have it for the constant update. So as well as Open Migration is doing, so the update is automatic, so you don't have to care about it. For the moment, it's not like this. So we have to do it manually, so we do a round, and then, of course, it might be that we are late for some indicators. This is not possible for all institutions, for all sources, of course. For example, the citizenship database or the natural disasters, or not all sources provide the technical feasibility of having API code and having automatic updates. So we are improving, but we will never be in constant update for everything and for every indicators. On the other side, we are still putting things into GlobalStat, so it's growing even in the numbers of indicators provided. So it's not done, absolutely.
In GlobalStat, do you also have any correlation analysis or analysis of confidence interval? Because that's one of the things that in the newsrooms, for example, journalists are hesitant of saying there is any correlation, and they should be hesitant of saying there is any correlation between things. And sometimes they make mistakes. While there is no significant correlation, they make a claim that there is a correlation, or this causes the other thing. So I was just wondering if there is anything in GlobalStat that could help with that.
No, I'm sorry. There's no, but you're right that this is a risk, but not only for journalists to claim some correlation and causation that are not there. But this is an exercise that, if you are already there, you can extract the direct table, because you can have visualization, but also CVS file and everything for you to put into your software or Excel or everything, and do it by yourself. But if you are at that step, maybe you don't, you can do much more than simple correlations in your single softwares, I guess.
Just to finish to answer to your questions about the update, also the added value of GlobalStat, as we say in the initial part of the presentation, is to have the calculation for continents, regional integration communities, and is made manually by us. So we run a routine. It's a statistical effort, and we try to provide to our user this macro calculation to give them also this kind of data that usually not always you find in the original sources. So that's why also.
I'm sorry I didn't talk in English before, but I didn't understand. I was wondering if you have in mind for the future to do something like what I read and I love on the Pew Research Center site, the fact tanks. 5 facts on this. Pew Research is something like, not academic, but a research center. But they have also a part of the site on fact tanks, so something like a journalistic job on data. I was wondering if you will do something like this, not to be only a source for journalists, but also a place where a reader can find something just done or yeah.
I think that the closer thing I can think of is the project we are having and developing with the European Parliament Research Service, because since they have to provide parliamentarians, but this is also in the web, so you can find the EU think tank and you find all the fact sheet they produce. These are 2 pages with some 3 charts, bit of text to explain them and the sources, and that's it. Or more 10 or 15 pages, more longer text for hot topics. But they are doing this already, and they have asked us to join, in particular to provide data not for EU countries. Of course, if you are only interested in EU countries, you can go to Eurostat, and that's not everything, but almost everything, and you can, and more updated and more precise in the type of disaggregation of data you can find. But if you want to compare the EU with Russia or China, then Eurostat is not enough. So the thing we are trying to do with them for now is, I think in 1 month it will be released, the first one, is to have fact sheet on the BRICS, so Russia, India, Brazil, and China. And so, and this is more or less what I have in mind, because it's like presenting some charts on the economic development or comparison in between EU and Russia on trade or in, I don't know, financial investment, etc. So
I have a follow-up question based on that. So what are some stories that you wish journalists would do using GlobalStat? Yeah, what are some stories that are on your wish list or you think would be very easy for journalists to do using GlobalStat? Well, because one of the things we are always in search of as journalists is we're always in search of quick hit stories, right? We're always in search of the easy story that we can do, and sometimes we need to do the easy story on the way to doing the long-term story. Especially when you're doing a story with data, it takes much longer than it does for the kind of story where you just have an idea and you go out and interview 2 people and then you just write it up. To me, that's an easy kind of story, whereas a data story, it's much longer term and you have to...
It takes time.
Yeah, you have to do a lot more fact checking, you have to do a lot more interviewing of people. So what's the kind of story that you think would be, GlobalStat would be really useful for, or what's on your wish list for a story you think somebody should really work on this?
For sure. No, I'm thinking, for sure, stories based on truth, because no, that's yes, but sometimes and so no, I think one of our good aspect is to show and to report also data for not only for the 12 thematic areas that are more common in other databases as demographics, health condition, but also in particular, we have this 3 section on global trends and sustainable livelihood and prosperity of the nation. So I think that if I was a journalist, I would definitely check in these 3 sections. And the data that we report there, they are not common and sometimes completely unknown, even if the sources are international. So that's why.
And the other thing is, I'm not a journalist, so I'm not sure of it, is that if tomorrow we'll start speaking about, I don't know, diabetes, because today is the World Health Day and we speak about diabetes, then I know this, I want to tell you something, and maybe I have to check data before saying something stupid or nonsense or incorrect in the blog I'm writing. So it's the other way around. I have an issue in mind, I have a topic to cover, and then I try to find maybe in GlobalStat the numbers to support what I'm saying in words. This would be my answer. I think we should close, but
just a last question. Yeah, I have a question from my side. Do you accept also data from whistleblowers and leaks? And what's your position with this regarding this issue? I'm from the Panama Papers team, so from ERP, and so I have this question.
I never thought about this, but there were no Panama Papers 2 days ago. In general, yes, no. For the moment, no, because our aim in the beginning was we want to cover all countries in the world. So if I have to look for databases that at first they have all countries and possibly from 1960 onwards, these 2 qualities are not so common in all databases, and all the information, maybe I can find something very interesting on paradisi fiscali, fiscal places, but I mean, I'm speaking about 10 countries or 20, I don't know, but it's not 200. And it's also difficult to find a way of uniformize the information in a numerical way, because we are starting with tables, so it's not, it's a type of information that it is difficult to transform in a table set. I would check. I would see if it is feasible, because it would be interesting, of course. We'll be in touch with you. I think we have to close if someone wants to say something now or never, because we have, I think, to let our volunteers to prepare the room for the next session. So thanks everyone to being here to listen to us, and thank you for all our invitees and speakers. Thank you very much. Bye.